Hey folks, Matt T back, and this time we're going to go over the guides and the tensioners that were on this 3.5 Duratec 2011 Ford Edge Limited front wheel drive, and let's check out what the wear was on that and of course how these tensioners do incorporate into the whole timing system. Quite interesting to see what a 330,000 mile guide looks like after you pull it out and see what kind of wear and how tough are these things. So let's go ahead, take a review of them and see how well they did with that many revolutions over 330,000 miles. Hey folks, this is Mac T. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. I'll give you about 5 seconds to go through the whole spiel and then we'll get going on it. Alright, first what we got are a couple of our guides. We have the shorter guides that go on the inside areas of the timing chain. Then we have our main guides that go here. This guide here is pretty well bolted in and solid. This one has a pivot and then the tensioner strikes it right back here and then it forces it up and it sort of swivels. And this is the one that takes most of the brunt of the wear, whereas these more or less just sort of sit there and ride out on their pivots, and they're bolted in right here with their pivot point here, so they're pretty solid as far as what they do. These are the cam phasers. This is the top and this is the bottom of the cam phaser, and this is the tensioner that goes right into here on this pivoting one, and as you can see it's going to get a lot more wear because it pivots when this is released, and this pin is how you release it. It's really simple, this tensioner. There's a pin here, and what you have to do to get this to go back in is you put it in a vise, and this one here locks in. So what you have to do is take in this hole, push this plunger back, because there's a screw right here with a spring, and you push that back and then you can tighten your vise up and collapse it. Once you get it down to the point, you can put the pin back in here and it'll be ready to reload. So if you want to reuse it, you can do it. You just have to put a pick in there, push that plunger back, put it in a vise or a clamp and move it down so it's set, and then put like a cotter pin or something in there and you can redo it. The oil of course goes in here and in through right here, and that's what gives it its pressure and its hydraulic function as far as keeping the pressure from the oil pressure onto the tensioner. Now we're going to start out with some of the guides here. We have this guide right here. I think you can see that. See the different types of wear that it actually had, which is not much. And this is the bottom of the cam chain, and what it does is it sits right on here, and there's a clip that holds it in place and it just rides like so. And the bottom of the cam phasers, the chain that goes around that here. Now the one that's going to be doing a lot of the work is this one, and if you look at this one, how it is actually worn, I don't know if you guys can see that. I can get that turned. You can see that it's got a lot of wear on it and some deep grooves that can definitely be felt. It's got some grooves into it and it catches pretty easy right here, see? So there's some deep grooves right going through here, and that the other one is no exception. It has the same grooves that go across it, and again you can definitely tell that it's got some wear on it, but it is only on the main surface. So you can see that wear as far as what it's doing, and tell that it took a brunt of the hit on that. Now moving on, we have this guide here, and this goes off to the side of the engine, and you can see that this has some definite grooves to it all the way through, whereas this right here where the chain runs, you can follow that groove easily. But overall it did pretty good. but it does have some breakup right here in the actual plastic where the chain was rubbing on it, and you can see some minor holes in the plastic where that chain was rubbing. Same goes for this one. You can see the groove, and it's pretty well established, along with this groove right here. This one took a lot more of the brunt of the hit. Again, you can see the small holes in the plastic, and it catches on the pick where the plastic was getting pretty worn. And also inside these small holes, like right here, and then right here, and then throughout other areas, you can see actual fine metal from the water pump embedded into the actual plastic. Now this is the stationary one. You can see that as far as the grooves, it took a fair amount of wear right here on the end. It's pretty smooth there, but this end, I'm sorry, it's this end that took a good hefty amount of wear and wore it down just a little bit, and then it got easier on it as it went to the top of the chain. Again, we have the groove. You can run the pick all the way through it, and then on this side we have a lot of tore up guide that has a lot of holes through it. And if you look, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but there is embedded metal in the plastic throughout this guide also. So yeah, this one definitely had a lot of use to it, and it has a lot of markings in it. But overall, for 330,000 miles, this thing definitely held its ground as far as running. And then the edges are in really good shape with no damage. Now this guide here, this boy, he took a hit. Look at that. Look at that. You can see the metal in it. Look at the metal in this guide. You can actually see it if I turn it the right way. You can see some of that metal that is just permeated throughout this thing. Look at that. You can see it. It's flashing off of the light. So yeah, this one took a bigger hit. Look at it, the end right here. It definitely has a smoother area here, but this end got ate up, folks. Check that out. It got ate up something fierce. Lots of workings on the end of it here, because this chain is slapping on this thing all the time. And then of course it's got the main groove going all the way through that the pick will follow, and then it'll follow the other groove all the way through too. And then the plastic on the end right here, you can see that plastic, it's all ate up. That's right, it's all ate up as far as the plastic goes. So didn't break. This is manufactured this way with these marks. The new one is the same way, but this one definitely was the worker. This tensioner was the worker, because this one was making it bounce and move and do everything for the tensioner that it was supposed to do. So it was essentially the main pivot point for the entire chain. If this tensioner here, right here, and this guide were to fail, then you're going to lose everything on it, because these are the main culprits as far as having any failures. But overall, this thing did pretty good. You got to admit, for the amount of work it did for 330,000 miles, it was good, but it needed to be changed. So when you're doing an oil pump job, you want to make sure you get all of these parts replaced. These, you can't skimp on it, folks, because they're worn. And you want to make sure that you have the best tolerances on your engine that you can, and you want to take and replace all these main guides, because they are worn and grooved and will, you know, allow for chain slap, and that's not what you really want. So you want to make sure that you do use them and replace them appropriately. But that's what happens to your guides once you get 330,000 miles on them. Your results may be different than mine based on your maintenance and your oil changes and everything else, but just keep in mind, hey, we replaced them, and that engine is running just perfect. Well, folks, this is MACT, and hey, hopefully you learned a little something about your guides and when to replace them, when not to, and what happens when the water pump does fail. But again, all new components in this 3.5. All these parts were replaced with brand new Ford OEM replacement parts. That's right, we didn't use any aftermarket stuff. Everything was OEM, so that's probably why the engine's running so good. But hey, choose your poison, pick whatever aftermarket parts you want. I recommend the Motorcraft parts. But hey, this edge is running good, and these are definitely worn. And that's all you got to take out of this. But hey, make sure you like, subscribe, join, all that good stuff for MACTFORDEDGE on Facebook, MeWe. Hit that like button, watch the videos, even click on an ad, help me out a little bit. And by all means, Band of One's got some great music. Mercy Girl's got a couple of one-liners. And my feet hit the floor today. I'm having a great day, and I want you to have a great day too. And I might have a few other continuing videos on this rebuild on this engine before I get to the water pump.
Thank you for watching MACT's videos, and remember to like and subscribe. This is a Mercy Girl production.